Ujamakapaka.
Oh my gosh. Mucho shaka pagan. How appropriate.
Gosh,
Gosh,
Wiki.
See, that's funny. The first time I heard that, I just listened to it, and then I realized that half the dialogue was the same sounds. So I just so it's like
Well, yeah, but if you do that, then you're just going to accidentally select the dialogue you didn't intend on.
which happened to me a lot.
Random dark side points thing.
Well, yes, hello everyone. I'm Zach. Come on, I was trying to go through like a go around the table sort of thing.
We are quite literally around the table this time.
Yes.
Not
We're
usual.
mobile this evening.
Let's try this again. Hi, I'm Zach, and you are.
Not Carthonassi.
Oh,
Unfortunately.
Candrace. I'm Candrace.
Oh.
You're Basilicon.
Oh.
Hey, I'm okay with that. She's beautiful.
Alright, you're doing
yeah, I'm John.
Man. Mission Vale. Oh my gosh.
Statement. I'll be HK-47.
Oh, nice.
Regic. Swoop bike.
Yeah.
Or Joey Bindo.
He's my favorite.
He's one of the best characters in the whole game.
Great.
Voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson, no less.
Yep.
So should we do the introduction?
No, let's like that. Let's go.
I'm keeping it. And no cuts.
All right.
Exactly like
Let's no coconuts.
that. All right, Wreck-It Ralph.
We might regret that.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're obviously talking about KOTOR.
Knights of the Old Republic, baby.
20 years old. Can you believe it?
Was this game BioWare's first like real big title?
No.
What was
They had just gotten off of doing both Baldur's Gate games and Neverwinter Nights.
That's right. Oh,
That's why
I
they
remember Neverwinter Nights. Yeah.
That's why they were chosen for this, is because they were pretty much the big Western CRPG specialists at the time.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, you know, I haven't played those games myself, but being familiar with like how the D20 rules work, it's like, yeah, you play KOTOR and it makes perfect sense why they would have been chosen to do this, because D20's DNA is all over this game.
The entire game is based off of 3.0, Dungeons & Dragons 3.0.
Yeah.
So.
Nice. I will say, as somebody who wasn't the biggest fan when KOTOR came out, I remember when KOTOR came out and it being a big deal, but I remember being like, I was in the throes of playing Jedi Academy, so lightsaber combat in Jedi Academy was
very
awesome.
Quite a bit more visceral
than what the turn-based gameplay.
Wiffle bats.
Yeah. I will say this, going back, I played through it, I want to say, like right before COVID happened. I played through it the first time, and I definitely liked it better story-wise and gameplay-wise when I played it through the first time, and since I played it through. I think it's better going down now that I'm older and can appreciate things instead of just being a mindless kid. You know?
Yeah. 20 years later, I learn something new from it every time I play it, and that goes for the second one too. Yeah.
Really, it's a love letter to Star Wars. Or at least to the old way of how Star Wars was back in the day, with the original trilogy and even a bit of the prequels thrown in there. It's got all of the high notes from that old series. You've got Jedi, you've got the Han Solo character literally wearing a vest and has a Wookiee that follows her around. You've got the princess that has been captured and needs to be saved. Turns out she's a Jedi this time, but
she basically frees herself.
You've got pod racing that happens with the swoop races. It's literally just, hey, what's all the great stuff we love from Star Wars? Put it into a game.
Yeah.
And amplify it.
And also, the cool part about it is there's so much, like what Aaron said about different stuff. Every time I played it, there's always something new. Like, did you know that if you go deep dive into you can like learn the history of the Sand People?
Yeah, that's the thing that I learned.
I did not know that the first time I played, and so I was poking around, and I saved first, and then I started poking around so that I didn't die. That is also something I
You
learned.
kind of have to do that a lot.
There's this game. You have to be really good at saving, making sure your saves are there, because you can be playing for 3 hours and like, oh crap, I didn't save. This is basically and then you die and you're 3 hours back and you're just like, I gotta turn off my game. I can't do this again.
Sand People is really fun because you accidentally pick open the wrong box and suddenly every single person is
Yeah, no
hostile
kidding.
towards you.
That's why I saved, because I was like, I'm not gonna deal with that. But like, you get talking to the historian and he tells you about the history of Tatooine, how the Sand People were there, what they were like. It's like a full 20-minute conversation with this Sand People historian. It's really interesting.
That's one of the reasons why I liked Book of Boba Fett just a little bit, because they tap into that Tusken Raider culture a little bit, just like what they
Just
did
a
with
taste.
KOTOR.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And BioWare, a lot of what we were talking about, a lot of what BioWare did was kind of just take everything that we liked about Star Wars and what Zach said, added it onto it, amplified it. And they didn't take away from anything that Star Wars was. They just said, hey, here's these things we love. Let's add a little bit more. Why are all these people coming to Tatooine in the first place? Oh, because it looks like it's got tons of resources. And so they actually explain that with the Zerka Corporation. And so, and it explains why there would be civilizations on it all the way thousands of years later by the time of the movies. Because people keep making that same stupid mistake and going and thinking it's a rich planet.
And it's not. Except unless you kill carrier dragons, which when you finally, one of the missions is, or one of the things you have to do is hunt a crate dragon, which is basically a glorified, I'm going to go plant a grenade and then run away.
Pretty much.
Which you do several times.
Which happens a lot with the Rancor. There's another one. Anyway, that mission is cool because then you get the pearl.
Yeah.
And you can get some other stuff, there's a lightsaber crystal in there, as well as the star map. The MacGuffin of this game, which isn't bad, but
standard RPG.
Yeah, it's not bad. I don't mind doing that. It's oh yeah, well I'm gonna go here, and then I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna go here. What I got myself thinking, I thought during the game, was how has nobody accidentally stumbled upon the star map? Where they're at in the games, it's
well, they do. Jolie Bindo talks about how he goes to the one down in Kashyyyk. And it just curses at him in a language he doesn't know. So he's just stupid thing.
No, yeah.
So I'm sure plenty of people have discovered them in the past, but they're like, no, I can't use it. No value to me.
It's an interesting concept, being able to build armadas without needing people.
Well, you still need the people to crew them. It just builds the stuff automatically.
Builds the stuff automatically, which I think is cool.
Definitely a more creative super weapon than the type that is normally in Star Wars.
Well, I mean, if they actually did world building in Rise of Skywalker, they could have been like, hey, we have the Star Forge on this planet this whole entire time, building 10,000
Star Destroyer
Death Stars.
Instead, they just named one of the Stormtrooper legions the Revan Legion. That was it.
Right.
That's the only reference to KOTOR that we have.
Yeah.
And Darth Bane isn't. Never mind.
Nope, Darth Bane isn't canon anymore.
He was in Clone Wars.
Yeah. Yeah, Bane's in Clone
Wars. But the old Rule of Tool book is not, which is where he mentions all of
It's in my head canon. Yeah.
That's what really matters.
Star Wars according to Aaron.
pretty much that's all that matters nowadays with how Disney's running it. You just make it up. Yeah. Take what you want from it.
Anyway, back to KOTOR.
Yeah.
I will say KOTOR in and of itself, I think, is interesting, where you have this whole crew of people that you just kind of meet after going through your adventures. You pick up. It made me laugh. I thought of Obi-Wan. Why do I feel like we picked up another insignificant life form? So every planet you go to, you end up picking up another person.
Well, you get most of them on Terrace.
Yeah.
But...
And some of them you don't have to recruit at all.
Yep.
Some of them you can just kill right away.
Juhani.
Yeah, Juhani.
That's true.
Oh, yeah, you can. I guess I've never done that.
And you don't have to buy HK-47 ever.
But the game would be...
Why would you not buy HK-47?
The game would have so much less flavor if you didn't buy HK-47.
He definitely adds. Every single character adds to the game. I mean, that's the BioWare special, that they all have their own side quests and everything. But if you take different characters along, they all have different little like just comments whenever you do different things. They change different quests, like the Korriban quest, where you go into the droid area. HK-47 has special commentary on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't done that one yet.
Or if you take Jolie Bindo onto Korriban, he has this whole sarcastic thing where he talks about, "Yeah, you're my master, aren't you, master?" Which is
I did have that one.
I do remember that because pretty much as soon as I had Jolie and HK-47, like I didn't change out any companions.
I took T3 with me everywhere for
I
unlimited unlocking.
had Okay, that's a good question. Who was like your one that when you've gone and played through, who did you pick most of the time to go with you?
Oh,
That's a good question.
It depends on the
That is a good
situation.
question.
I guess it depends on your class too.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because depending on the difficulty, if you're really pushing the difficulty, you want to arrange your squad so that you can face every single situation differently.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, on easier difficulties, you can take whoever. Just double Jedi it, and you easily win everything.
I mean, that's true. I think this time I did. I had Karth and I had Jolie. Because at one point in the beginning,
I never take Karth besides getting through his dialogue and his side quest. His side quest's really good on Korriban, but
yes, that one is really
with
good.
his son.
But I did it because in the beginning I had his blaster and a heavy Arcanian blaster, and if you do that, his power shot is like destroys everybody because he gets.
But you have to teach him how to do rifles and stuff.
No, he gets a buff when you do two-handed blasters.
Only if you give him that skill.
And I did.
Okay.
And then it ended up being really paying dividends once he became a lot stronger. It became at one point I could just sit with Karth behind my guy and another Jedi and just snipe people. So anyway, that's how I played this one.
That's fun.
But I don't know.
Playing Gun Jedi is fun too. Where you instead of using a lightsaber, you just use a gun the entire game. Because you can get pretty gnarly.
That's true. You certainly can.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't.
I haven't tried that either.
And you can just pick up so many grenades, pop some points into demolitions, and you just blow up everything before they even get to you. Like even Malik, he's like you throw a couple grenades towards him if you got a high enough demolition skill. He's already at death point, and he has to go around and start killing the Jedi.
I feel like an idiot now that you mentioned that, because when I fought Malik at the very end, the way I beat him is I literally just ran away from him the whole time, throwing my lightsaber.
Yeah.
And I just kept chipping away at him until he was dead.
He hits like a truck, and you have to make sure to go and use Disable Droid on all the Jedi so that they all die first before he can absorb them.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, because what I did is I went around and I sucked up all the people first before he could, and yeah, that's all I did.
This guy.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that's so good about this is that there are multiple viable strategies. Yes, there are way better ways that you can play.
Yes.
There's meta that you can have to go through you only get to level 3 on Terrace so that you get the most points as possible for Jedi once you reach Dantooine and all this other stuff. But you can play the game in 100 different ways, and it's still fun and it's still entertaining.
True.
And it's got a lot of really good side quests that really make you think in a moral sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of my favorite ones was when you had to do like the murder mystery was contained to like an area of like 5 square feet.
The Dantooine one I thought was way. I really like that one actually. That's my favorite side quest
because you have to actually listen to what they say.
You have to actually give a crap about what they're saying, and so you can't click through everything.
And the Jedi always like interrogates you. Did you catch that detail?
No, I'll go ask them about that.
And then if you make the wrong call at the end, he's basically like, "You moron."
I guess you're not ready for this yet.
That's a really good side quest, though. I really liked that one.
There's that are just really solid. Like there's your average go and
Fetch
collect
quest.
this item quests that are just a staple for any RPG. But there's so many that you have to actually do something, talk to people, use the strengths of the game.
Do you guys remember the one where you had to get the droid back to the lady?
The husband droid.
The droid's like, please don't send me back.
Please destroy me. I need to destroy me. You're good.
Yeah, odds are they're not going to put that one in the remake.
Probably not.
Yeah.
There are some ones that are out of
remake
pocket.
doesn't even happen.
There are some. There are some quests. I was like, wait, did I just read that right? That's a wild one. It's also the fact that you can be in this game and you have the autonomy to go, hey, I'm going to go. Well, Dantooine you kind of have to go to, but like after Dantooine and you find out you have to find the star maps, you have like autonomy to be like, oh yeah, I want to go to Korriban first. And you're like, oh crap, I can't stay here. I'm underleveled for this. You can go wherever you want. You can pretty much do whatever you want depending on how you want to play it. You can be bad guy, good guy, whatever.
And this game really was the one that really kicked off the light side, good side, bad side karma system that was just pretty much iconic in every other RPG for years.
Yeah, because then they added it to Mass Effect.
Mass Effect, Jade Empire, Dragon Age, kind of. But like all of BioWare's ones for sure.
Yeah. I remember there were Star Wars games before Knights of the Old Republic, like Jedi Knight and Jedi Academy, where you can like choose whether you want to have a light side or a dark side ending. But that was only at like one point during those games. Like in Knights of the Old Republic, you can make light side and dark side decisions. Like every chance you interact with somebody, which was like one of the reasons why I like appreciated it so quickly. Because yeah, just like you, Justin, when I first started playing it, like I was used to all these first-person shooter Star Wars games and
Public Command,
and like I wasn't expecting Knights of the Old Republic to be like a almost turn-based RPG, and I was like, oh man, I'm not used to this stuff. I don't know if I can like it. But then I started interacting with the people and interacting with the world and having to choose light side and dark side like almost every single moment, and I was like, yeah, I can like this, and I can also be a Jedi. Oh, and I can pick my lightsaber color. Oh man, yeah, this game is cool.
And I can use force lightning without any consequences.
Very simple with a lot of their writing choices. Like I remember for like some of the early light side, dark side choices, it's like, here, let me give you all of my money, a gray choice, or I'm going to take all of your money or I'm going to kill you. Like those are the two options really. It's like, I will give you everything and save your life, or give me all of your money, you absolute B-word. Like,
oh yeah, the lady in the apartments.
The Thorian that you meet on the street that's getting picked on, the guy that's getting shaken down by the thugs. Like, they are not subtle at all. It's either you're saving the day and you're Jesus Christ reborn in the Star Wars universe, or you're kicking puppies in a bag that you're about to drown. Like, it's the two options 90% of the time.
Yeah.
They are not subtle at all.
It gets more and morally ambiguous once you get past Terrace. Terrace is...
I love Terrace.
Once you muscle past Terrace...
Terrace is a good tutorial level.
It is.
Very good.
But at some point during Terrace, I was like, man, I gotta get off this planet. I'm not gonna
It's iconic BioWare that the first stage is the big, huge one that has multiple environments. You need to do a ton of quests. There's tons of things to do. And then that usually gets destroyed. And then you go and do the smaller hub worlds that you have to go to. But that's like typical BioWare. That's in Jade Empire. That's in Dragon Age. That's in...
I remember the first time playing KOTOR and Terrace gets blown up, and I was like, "Ooh, I didn't finish all those quests."
Yeah, me too. I finished like most of them, but there were like two that I didn't. And then you go back in your quest book, and it's like, well, Terrace is destroyed. You'll never know what happened.
And there's a few quests, and this is one of the things that was really annoying about the game in general. There's a few quests on every planet where you have to go all the way back to the beginning running, and then you have to run all the way back to turn in the quest for whatever reason.
Oh, yeah.
Like giving the rat ghoul serum to the Under City people. You have to go all the way back up to the top.
And then all the way back down.
Just the rat ghoul serum from the doctor, then go all the way back down to the Undercity. And it's like, oh shoot, I did not do that. Because unless you know exactly what you're doing, You will miss those kinds of
That's one thing I kind of appreciate about this game is once you're in Terrace and you and Carter are like, oh, let's go. You get thrown in, you're like, what exactly am I supposed to do? I mean, you're supposed to find Bastila, but the game is like, go find Bastila. Guess you're just gonna have to figure it out by yourself, and you kind of left to your own devices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I mean, the second time I played, I was like, oh yeah, I know exactly what to do. But the first time, I ran around for a good while trying to figure out what the heck I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then you end up at the cantina and talk to the one Sith lady that, let me throw a party in my apartment, you can come.
Or there's an alternate way to get the uniforms.
Oh, how?
If you go into one of the apartment buildings, there's some Sith guards that are shaking down an alien, and they're saying, you stole uniforms from the wash, and if you save him, he's like, yeah, I work for the Hidden Becks, here's some extra uniforms that I've got.
Really?
And so you don't even have to do because the Sith lady, if you miss that persuade check, then she doesn't let you go to the party.
Oh, so there's I had given points to charisma or whatever the thing is, so
yeah.
Which you pretty much need to.
Yeah, the first time I didn't
persuasion needed.
The first time I didn't do persuasion, but the second time I played through, I was like, all right, I'm going to be a scoundrel. I'm not going to, because the first time I did, I was a soldier. And I was like, I'll just beat everybody to death. Then I was like, let me be a scoundrel. And I'm going to give points to make charisma my highest attribute. And the game changed for me when I got forced persuade. Because then you could basically force persuade anybody that's around you.
And also, if you're a scoundrel, you can pretty much unlock anything.
Yeah, pretty much.
All the extra points.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, even that different way, you can be the soldier and beat the crap out of Pete. And you get certain endings, like Korriban. You can finish off that entire storyline and kill all of the Sith. Or you can persuade the Sith lady, the Twi'lek lady, to become a good Jedi.
Which I did.
And it's like, oh, you can do these things, which at the time was pretty amazing.
It's still one of the best, outside of Star Wars, it's still probably one of the best RPGs that's been conceived by somebody, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a classic for a reason.
I'm not a big RPG fan, but yeah, I really love this game.
I think there are some minor issues that hold it back. I mean, we talked about the save issue.
Lots of save issues, lots of running,
and not having full sprint. Like when you're running, your character basically goes. Sorry, I'm making a move that you can't see, but basically it's like half running speed. And you have to traverse all of the Tatooine Desert.
You're required to have one Jedi with force speed the entire game.
Not to mention, there's the whole sequence in Manan where you have to go underwater in the
diving suit.
Yeah.
Dude, that part of the game.
Yeah.
So long.
There's some pacing issues.
It feels fire to the whole water levels are bad argument.
Yeah. That's true.
It's funny though, if you play KOTOR 2, they have you get in the same spacesuit, and what they did basically was speed up the animation, so you're like, and you run really fast in the spacesuit this time around.
I was grateful for that.
Yeah, because there's a part where you have to be in the space station.
Pretty sure it wasn't like that originally.
Then
the original Xbox. Imagine going on Pelagus Station or whatever it's called, and just slow walking.
Oh my gosh, there's so much of that. Anyway, this isn't KOTOR 2, but suffice to say, the water suit is terrible. Also, the fact that you have what's the bounty hunter's name?
Canderous?
No, the blue guy.
Oh, Calo Nolan.
Oh, Calo Nolan. Who basically just goes down like Wile E. Coyote 3 different times.
Yeah, that was.
You can't see it.
They definitely had some interesting costume designs for some of the characters. Designs were pretty cool. Yeah. I love that old Mandalorian design.
The Mandalorian design is cool.
This is probably the best Mandalorians ever are in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Canderous is a pretty, pure Mandalorian in that sense. Just only believes in war and your success in it, and
that's what the Mandalorians were, and it was so cool before Clone Wars kneecapped them. But that's another topic. But a lot of these designs are really great. The Ebon Hawk is really good. Like, it's obviously supposed to be the Millennium Falcon of this game.
It sounds like it.
Yes.
But
oh my gosh.
And the Sith fighters are pretty much TIE fighters that are flat. Like, they even have the adjustable X-Wing kind of wings. Like,
But
the Hammerhead Corvette is new, and that one's excellent. That hasn't tested
cool.
through the years.
The Sith Trooper armor, that's pretty
Sith
cool.
Trooper armor is cool. One quick gripe though: those sequences where you'd be flying in the ship and the TIE fighters would show up, the Sith fighters.
Oh, you have to get in the turret,
and you have to get in the turret.
Oh, you can't do that on a laptop.
You really can't.
No,
I would.
Why are you not using WS?
No, I played it on my Switch, but also that was Listen. Those sequences took me right out of like everything in the game. I was like, God, I gotta do this janky, stupid turret section.
That's why Jade Empire gave you an option to skip the travel sequences.
Oh man,
because they knew it wasn't for everyone.
Rough.
If they give you an option to skip those, why put them in there?
Yeah, it's still fun if you can play it.
If you could play it.
It's a skill issue.
Very much.
I eventually got it down, but the first like 3 of them, I was like, really? I have to do another one of these? This is so dumb. Also, how'd they find me?
Sith fighters everywhere, man.
Yeah, no kidding. It's a short-range fighter. How did it get this deep into space?
There aren't any bases around here. Where'd it come from?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, sorry. Continue with what you're talking about. Mandalorian armor and.
I was just talking about the design. Some of them are really just amazing. Like, there's a lot of things that they created that were obviously homages to previous Star Wars. Darth Malak is the obvious Darth Vader XV with his old, like, missing body parts and everything. But but even in doing so, they had lots of stuff that was just really creative and really good. And that carried on throughout the games, all the way to Old Republic, which has some amazing designs as well. So
I haven't played Old Republic.
But you've seen the cinematics.
Oh, yes, that's true.
And I would argue that those 5-minute cinematics are probably the best concentrated Star Wars.
They're gorgeous.
That's probably true.
Actually, tell their stories in just a couple minutes, whatever. But
the sad part about that is when you actually get in the game, it's nothing like the cinematics and makes you sad.
It's a World of Warcraft Star Wars.
It overpromises, yeah.
Oh boy.
We didn't even touch on the biggest reveal about this game.
I mean, is it a reveal now, 20 years later?
I mean,
the people who aren't gamers, sure.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's got the big
Star Wars fans.
It's got the big Star Wars reveal. Someone is not who they think they are.
Are we doing spoiler talk or is this?
That's spoilers.
I mean, listen. I'm trying to.
Someone's not been spoiled on this game. Go play the game if you have not already.
That's true. If you don't want to spoil,
go put 20 hours into it.
What's funny about this game is I knew that spoiler was coming. I just didn't know when it was. And so when you actually get the reveal, it actually is a big deal because it was like, by that time I actually gave a crap about the other companions that were on the team. And I was like, oh, how are they going to react to this bit of news? And afterwards you have the round table in the ship about what everybody's thoughts are. And it was actually kind of cool. It made me buy into the fact that the companions actually like you rather than just being robots that wander around with you, you know what I mean?
But then you play on a second time, and it is the most obvious reveal.
Yeah, really. It really is.
They don't just hint towards it, they spell it out to you.
Especially with the way that the Jedi Masters on Dantooine hint at it.
Oh, yeah.
Would you follow the path of Revan if we taught you to be a Jedi? That's all this like, the greatest power is turning an enemy against themselves. Hint, hint.
Wink, wink.
Or the test that the one AI of the Sith
Tasha does.
Yeah. The Sith AI who's giving you all of these like war decision scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Brainwaves are different than the last time you were here.
Oh yeah. That one I didn't catch that until my second playthrough. I was like, oh my gosh. Is this?
It's I think it's neat all the subtle hints they throw in there that you missed the first time
but you picked up the second time. I agree with Aaron. I thought that was cool the second time I played through it. It's like, oh yeah, they've been dropping hints the whole freaking game.
Yeah.
But I think it speaks to to something that I think is true of storytelling, in that, people oftentimes focus too much on like the spoilery elements of things. Oh, if I know this, it's going to ruin the story, but not necessarily. Like, kind of like you, Justin. I was aware going into the game that Revan was the player character, but it's not so much knowing that; it's just kind of experiencing the journey, knowing where it goes, and kind of like being able to anticipate those things, but still being surprised by the little minute to minute details that kind of dot the story along, which is what makes it interesting. It's not so much like the actual event itself, but like the things that surround it and what's affected by it.
A lot of people have always said that for BioWare games in general, the main story is not the draw. Like, the main story for BioWare games will typically be good versus evil, very simple stuff. But what you're in for is the character writing and the situations that you get in, those smaller little pieces that really add up to make it a more interesting game. And the characters in this game are excellent. I don't think there's any of the main cast that that I hate, that I just absolutely dislike.
I have my tears.
There's hardly a 2-dimensional character in this
It's true.
game. I think T3 is the only one in this game.
And he even has the excuse of he's this R2D2.
Yeah.
He's a lot more animated in the Sith Lords game, though.
Yeah.
I think, but
that's Obsidian in general. They try to mix things up. Sometimes a bit too much.
Yeah.
Even like the NPCs and the side quest people are very third-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can tell they have lives and professions, interests, and all that stuff too.
When you do CSI Manon.
Oh yeah, Simon Manon. That was a great side quest.
Ways that
whole quest line was really interesting, actually, with like things to say and do, and people's characters' motivations for things that they did and what they didn't do, and
like the best solution for the Republic is not the honest one.
Yeah.
You have to end up lying, and Jolie is not happy.
I don't remember what I even did for that one, because I did it, but I don't remember what I picked. I probably picked something honest or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I proved Jolie Bindo's friend's innocence. And even after I did that, Jolie was still very skeptical about the results. And I was like, oh my gosh, are you serious, dude? Like, did I do it wrong even though I did the right thing? Like,
because he definitely did shoot the person, but it's up to you to make that choice, because the Manon politics is not about necessarily what is the truth. It's about what benefits the Republic versus the Sith.
Yeah. I think it's interesting when you first break into that Sith base and you get put on trial. I got stuck there for my first playthrough. I was like, what the heck am I supposed to do? I can't lie to them. I'll get dark side points. So I died like 4 times. And then I was talking to somebody when I was at work. I was like, he was talking to me about, oh, how's KOTOR going through? Because he was talking to me about it. And I go, dude, I keep dying. After I get out of the Sith base, how am I supposed to sneak out? Because they keep catching me. He's like, dude, you're supposed to lie. At that point, I was like, what? That didn't even cross my mind. He's like,
or you're just supposed to save the Manon youth down there, and boom, they're like, oh, you're forgiven. Go away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Again, if you know what you're doing, this game becomes a whole different game.
Yeah.
Your choices,
truly.
Like the order that you do things matters more. The way that you talk to certain people matters more. Doing certain quests before the planet gets closed off, like Kashyyyk, because if you help the Wookiees out, they completely kill all the other quest givers.
Yes, that's true.
So
all of the Zerka Corporation people,
or even this guy who his buddies got shot by the Zerka guy.
Oh yeah, that one too.
That one.
If you don't tell him beforehand, he gets killed with all the rest of the Zerka people.
That one was one where, oh well, the droid said that this happened, but the other people were run off by the Wookiees, so you'll never know what happened. I was like, gosh dang it, I'm not going back 3 hours to go and do this stupid quest. Never mind.
So another thing I really appreciated about the game, though, like what it does for enhancing Wookiee culture too, and like getting you a greater understanding of just like they're kind of like stereotypical like Asian honor kind of culture in the sense that they value warriors and all that stuff, but it's like I don't know, their spin on it's really interesting too, even though most of the time it's just.
It makes you look
The
at
random angry growl and
learning all about that cultural stuff makes you look at Chewbacca differently in the original trilogy,
True.
knowing like his background now.
And also the life debt. Because I can't remember what's the Wookiee's name.
Zalbar.
Zalbar.
Mm-hmm.
Zalbar's like, I've sworn a life debt to you. At the beginning, when you first meet him, he's like, I prefer not to talk about it. And then you help him, and he like opens up to you about it. He's very interesting. But my point is, if his life debt is such to Revan, then like, imagine what Chewie's life debt is to Han. Like, it's just. It's
Well, then you can see it all in action in the Solo movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I like Solo, but it doesn't really talk about that as much.
No, it doesn't hone in on the life debt concept as much as you would like.
Have you ever used Zalbar's life debt to make him kill Mission?
No, what? That's a thing.
That's a thing, yeah. It's
What are you
terrible.
Darkseid could just be pure evil all the time, right?
Yeah.
Well, once you get to Rataka planet, I think it's called Lesotho or something. And
Oh, the crash landing.
the crash landing place. You can join with Bastila, and she joins you if you're Darkseid, so that you can go and kill Malik and stuff.
Oh,
And so you take Bastila. You have to kill Jolie and Juhani at the same time, but you take Bastila back to the ship, and everyone's like, "Oh, so we're doing this now. We're Darkseid now." Karth runs away. Candace is like, "Cool." HK loves it. You're back to being Revan for him. T3 doesn't care. He's just sworn to you. But Zalbar, because he's got the life debt, he's sworn to serve you no matter what. And so, and Mission's like, "You're not the friend I made on Terrace. How could you do these things?" And you can be like, "Zalbar, kill her."
What? Yeah.
Oh,
and he has to do it too.
I did not know that was a thing.
It's nuts.
Yeah, the Act Man talked about that in his video about the game, and I'm thinking, I don't know if I could ever do a Darkseid playthrough.
It's
It's terrible.
I don't think I could do it either.
It's obvious the light side playthrough is the preferred one, but they have a lot of just twisted things that you can do as Darkseid.
Yeah.
Experience.
You can poison I know you can poison the fish, the live fish or whatever on Manon. And you can poison the Kolto so that everybody dies. I know that was an option. I was like, why would I do that? And I clicked the light side and moved along.
Some pretty awful things.
Yeah.
Which, if you're a Sith, I mean, that's kind of expected. So
It's just another Tuesday.
BioWare didn't start adding Sith who weren't just pure evil until the Old Republic, and they realized that maybe not everyone needs to be a genocidal maniac.
It's still, I like the game. I like the fact that the game allows you to make decisions that aren't 100%, light and dark all the time. Sometimes you kind of have to make the tough, bad decisions in order to enact the greater good, which is interesting.
And it establishes that pretty well with the characters that you meet, that they all have their own alignment trees. Canderous is pure evil, which is like obvious, and Karth is pretty righteous, but Jolie is smack dab in the middle gray. And he is my favorite character. The way that he talks and his stories and analogies are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But he is living proof that you don't need to just do light or dark in this game. You can make choices based on the situation at hand.
What was everybody's lightsaber color that they picked the first time they played?
I think mine was blue, green. I can't remember.
And it changes based on the color of the class that you pick, obviously, and I would stick with that during my playthrough. But I always like the canon Revan look, which is one purple, one red. So
I did one blue and one red. I thought that was a good representation of like Revan's halfway between two. I thought that was appropriate.
And double bladed lightsaber is just my favorite. I love that thing.
Yeah, I think double bladed lightsaber is more effective, and I would always just do green.
Yeah, I think I would do yellow every time.
Mm.
I really like it.
Eventually, you get all the lightsaber crystals anyway, so I experimented. After a little while, I experimented with a bunch of different ones.
For a while, you get an excess of crystals.
Yeah.
Sell
Yeah.
them off. Well, the funny thing is, in the advertising, I wrote it down that Jedi are so common in this time period that lightsabers are sold over the counter at convenience stores. And like when I'm going through the game and you're killing all these Sith and you're just picking up all of their shorthand lightsabers, you're like, yeah, sell, 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 sell.
I find it funny, like the fact that the merchants in this game. It's one of the things that I find funny about Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is that merchants will buy anything from you, and they just have an unlimited supply of credits to buy all this random crap that you don't want to carry in your inventory anymore.
100 bokoblin teeth?
Sure, yeah. How about I give you 1,000 rupees for those? Like, what are you gonna do with it?
I mean, for some games, it makes sense to have the limits, like something in Skyrim or the other Elder Scrolls games. But for sometimes you don't want to deal with inventory management and that crap. And you're just like, I just want to sell all this stuff.
You have to be careful. One time I sold something that I actually needed, like it was like armor or a lightsaber, and I was like, "Well, wait a second, I need that back." And they were like, "I'll give it to you for 500 credits," and I'd sold it for like 300. I was like, "Fine, I'll buy it back." Sure.
Then you go to the Rhodian on Yavin 4 station, and you unlock the best weapons and armor in the game anyway. So,
Oh yeah, the little guy in the battle station or whatever.
I totally forgot that was a place. Like, I went there once and never again.
you have to like go after every single star map to unlock it all. And so,
Yeah, it changes.
The funny thing about it though is when you go there and you see one with a price tag of 300,000 credits, you're like, how the freak am I gonna make 300,000?
and at the end of the game, you're just swimming in money.
I was,
True.
yeah, yes, I never went swimming in money. I was always poor.
I was swimming in stims and med packs because I was like, I gotta save these for the very end because I know it's gonna get tough. And then by the end, I got like 70.
Then you can realize you
med
can just
packs.
ask Canderous for his stims and
Right, and you can just ask, you can ask Zalbar for grenades. And you can,
Jolie for med packs.
The funny part about that is when you have too many Zelda's like, I think you have enough grenades, and you're like, no, I don't.
You don't want those rolling around and exploding in your pocket.
Give me another one. Gosh dang it. There is a reason I'm asking you for this.
Or T3 with his tunneling spikes.
Oh, man. What a good game. There's a lot to like about it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Aaron, go ahead.
Uh-oh. I was just gonna say, like, I recently read a Star Wars book that had like a really bad romance in it. And
90% of them?
yeah, and I was thinking, man, like it's just so hard for Star Wars to land romance. So I was thinking about all the handful of romances in Star Wars that are actually good, and I was thinking about KOTOR, and I was like, yeah, the romance between Bastila and Revan is actually believable. Like one of the few
It's so fun.
things. Like
He teases her relentlessly, and it is the most fun thing to ever see because she gets so flustered every single conversation.
yeah.
I think it's eventually funny that at the end, when Bastila's in her emo phase, and she's like, you can't go any further, and you're like, Bastila, stop, I love you, and she's like, all right, I'll be good again.
Typical BioWare, the ending is kind of rushed.
I thought it was funny. I was like, really? That's it? No lightsaber fight or anything? Just made me laugh. It speaks to it. I think the writing we go back to the writing for this game is just good. I agree with Aaron. The romance, I think, is not as forced as some romances in Star Wars are. Because there are a lot of them that are like,
We don't need to go into details.
suffice it to say, it's just a lot, and theirs is very subtle and likable and believable.
Yeah. You grow to like it for sure.
It's not quite as good as Splinter in the Mind's Eye when Luke and Leia fall in love with each other. Great book.
No.
Or when you can be female Revan and get Juhani to fall in love with you too. That's a great one.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
But there's literally no dialogue up until the very end, and then she's like, "Hey, I like you." You can say, "Yeah, I like you too," and that's it. They definitely forgot to do a whole romance path there. Ran out of time. These KOTOR games cut so much content. You can read up on it. It's pages and pages of content.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. I also think it's good. There's a lot to unpack in this game that you have to play it more than once to get see all the stuff. Like Aaron said at the beginning, there's stuff when you play it. There's new stuff that you find every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And there's good mods that you can add on PC. There's a Jedi from the beginning mod that's really good.
Oh,
So we had some
lightsaber from the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can do that. With the Switch, there's a command you can do to just give yourself any item, and you can give yourself.
Well, the mod gives you force powers and everything. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You can get force powers and become Jedi initiative from the beginning, which is kind of cool. But it also like Terrace. I played it through one time, just the beginning part, and Terrace. If you're a Jedi, Terrace is so easy. It really is. Once you have a lightsaber that does like 30 base damage, like all bets are off.
Except those dang rat ghouls with their poison.
Oh, that too, but
I freaking hate those.
So crazy.
Except you just go down there with a bunch of antidote and you're fine.
That's why you use
money.
That's why you use Karth with his sniper shot and his power blast, and it's fine.
Yeah.
If he passes his dexterity check.
Because this is a D20 game after all.
Oh man,
you gotta have your weird random checks at every single thing you do.
Also, that's one of the things about the D20 system that two guys can be standing next to each other and miss each other.
Yeah.
You to me, and they miss hitting the other guy with a sword or a lightsaber. It's like, what?
The best is if you're under level for a section, even if you've got the health to like endure all of their hits, miss.
It's the worst.
It's so frustrating.
That's one of the best options. Just throw grenades right at your feet. You're like, I'm sick and tired of this.
Dude,
I am going Allahu Akbar over here.
The one that I hated the most was, man, 2 bomb jokes in one podcast. Jeez.
This game is the bomb.
What's the matter with you? The droids in the Sith base that could freeze your companions in carbonite. So OP, I was like, stop freezing my car.
That's why one of the first abilities you always get as a Jedi is disable and destroy droid.
Yeah.
The other one was the droid in the back base that had the carbonite gun. It's like, oh my gosh, stop doing that.
Oh, the overpowered one in the garage?
Yeah, the overpowered one in the garage. Oh my gosh. That's one of the worst boss fights of the whole game.
It's not even a boss, it's a random.
I know, it's a random droid, which made it even more infuriating.
Open the door and you're like, oh, hello, you're a death machine.
Yeah. You start throwing grenades and it's like 1 damage. I was like, oh, crap.
Oh, no.
Then I had to pause and I was like, okay, now I gotta think about what am I gonna do to attack this guy?
And on the second time through, you use all of your repair things on the droids in the area just so that they can go into the one.
Yeah.
And you give all of your team ion guns.
Yeah, it was ion gun. I used all my ion grenades and the frag grenades and the plasma grenades and the thermal detonators. By the time I was done, I had no grenades in my backpack. One of my companions was down. Another one was down, and like my last guy was like limping around. I was like, ooh, that was tough sledding there for a second.
Did you win? I was gonna do a Infinity War joke. Like, did you win? Yes. What did it cost? Everything.
It literally, that was the worst fight of the whole game. That stupid death pod.
It's so good.
Well, that's why you got to go to the security console and use all those spikes to win the battle before it even begins.
Oh, this guy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Although that is really funny when you can be on the camera and you tunnel in. And you're like, disable this circuit that electrocutes all the guys in the room.
It's hilarious how overpowered computer security is because of that. Like, oh, gas all of the rooms, and you get you get out of the computer and you get like a whole level's worth of experience. You have 30 different guys.
Go over like 10 chests and get all this stuff before the next fight happens.
It's
Good
amazing.
stuff.
That was what happened in the Beck base. There's one console that you can get on that,
The
like,
Volcars.
yes,
You didn't kill the Becks.
no, the Becks are the guys
big
you
guys.
ally with, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
the other
And you
ones.
can kill them if you want.
So,
Yeah.
no, I mean, there is a portion of their base when I was poking around there that
If you unlock it, then they all get hostile.
Yes,
Just like the Sand People.
yeah. If you go into that room, I could never get in because my security skill wasn't high enough. But there's like a room you can get into. There's an extra room that I'm gonna have to the next time I play it, I'm gonna have to remember to get in there.
Mhm.
They can't hide their secrets forever.
I'm proud of Gadden. He became a Jedi in the Old Republic. So,
Are you guys on the bandwagon of Keanu Reeves being Revan if there's a live action
He's
adaptation?
so
No.
old at this point.
So
Yeah, I'm against that as well. Thank you. You said the right answer. I haven't heard yours
no,
yet.
I will say this. While I think it would be interesting to have him be Reverend, I'm with Zach. He's far too old. I mean, if you've watched any of the John Wick movies, homie, he's good, and he definitely likes doing all his own stunts, but if they're trying to make a movie, they need to pick somebody like...
and you have to
Yeah.
remember, Revan is someone who talks a lot. And we don't want Keanu Reeves to talk a lot ever in his movie. Revan is charismatic, and Keanu Reeves is about as charismatic as a wooden board.
I mean, if things happen differently, like say hypothetically they didn't do a sequel trilogy, but they adapted Knights of the Old Republic instead, like I think Adam Driver would have done a good job.
Yeah, he's the one that comes to
Adam
mind.
Driver would be a good.
He's a
Revan.
great dramatic actor.
Yeah.
So
He could be charismatic.
They could cover his schnoz with the Revan mask, so
Leave Adam Driver alone.
leave his schnoz alone.
Yeah,
because
leave
it's
his
two
nose
different
alone.
things at that point.
Leave his nose alone. He's fine.
One goes into the room first, and 3 minutes later, the next.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
That's rude.
that's me.
Hey, I was doing a Dark Side playthrough. You can't blame me.
and then they get Daisy Levy Bastila.
I mean, they basically did with her having the yellow lightsaber and a long staff as her weapon. She was pretty much modeled after Bastila.
She has a British accent to her.
I wouldn't be unhappy with that casting. But they need to have better writers than what they had. For some parts of the sequel trilogy, there were good writers. In other parts, there were not. I think if you get the right group of writers that actually care about what Knights of the Old Republic is, I think that might not be bad. Because I don't think all of it lies on Daisy Ridley.
Well, they'd have to make the old lore canon again, and
I don't know.
they're allergic to that.
You're not wrong.
That's true. Man, if they're going to go around adapting...
They would do Knights of the Old Republic, but it would be Ahsoka somehow going through time and doing it.
Oh
my
gosh. Don't.
Yuck. Oh man. I really hope they don't do that.
I'm
I really-
cautiously optimistic that Ahsoka's going to be good, but I haven't seen... I've purposely not watched any trailers more than...
I really want Filoni's insert character, Tapper Wolf, to be the one that matches against Ahsoka. Because that would be hilarious.
Oh my god.
The X-Wing pilot
The
that he
old man
plays.
from Kim's...
Man,
Oh
like-
wow.
Ahsoka falls in love with this random X-Wing pilot.
You know what it's going to end up being? It'll be like Captain America. She's going to go back to the Galactic Civil War.
Fall in love with Anakin.
No, she'll be with that one separatist guy.
Lux Bombardi?
Lex Bombardi, yeah.
Yeah,
The
something.
guy from Fallout.
Falco Bombardi?
no, he's talking about.
I know. You were
No,
talking
no,
about I don't think Bombardi.
I don't think so either.
I don't know what his name. I know his name. Isn't it Lux? Isn't it
Yeah,
Lux or
yeah, I
something?
think
Bondaren or something.
Bondari, okay, yeah. I
Something
think
like
that's
that.
what it
I
is.
thought that arc of her finding that guy and being like
Maybe
romantic.
the Republic isn't all right about everything.
Oh,
Needless to say, when I gave my parents a list of Clone Wars episodes to watch, I kind of told them to skip those.
I mean, that's not wrong. It's fair. I thought that episode was interesting as world building, but not much more than.
Regardless, for the remake that was planned is most likely canceled now. I'm glad because they were definitely planning on doing rewrites, and I don't trust anyone to rewrite KOTOR nowadays.
That's a fair point.
There was a very controversial writer that was originally behind it who I'm glad is not a part of it anymore.
It was removed.
I'll have to look that up. I didn't look too far into it. I was like, oh, a remake. The thing that did catch my eye was they were like, oh, we're going to redo combat. I was like, no, you can't redo the combat.
Make it like Final Fantasy VII.
I don't know what
I'd be down for that.
Yeah. If they just enhanced it, but if they did like a whole live action thing, then it would probably
see. My fear would be that they would make it more like Force Unleashed or Fallen Order. Not even Fallen Order. They make it more like Force Unleashed, whereas like that's not,
sort of thing.
Yeah, that's not the game that Knights of the Old Republic is. Turn-based is the enemy.
I think Bendak Starkiller would absolutely wreck me in a hack and slash.
Oh gosh. Oh man.
And that one fight on the Rakata planet where you get surrounded by Mandalorians, and there's like 20 of them.
Oh,
right next to the ancient temple.
Yes.
That's right.
Also the one where you're on Dantooine when you first become a Jedi and you
have to go into the star map.
Well, there's that one, but also when you're doing the swoop game and there's like bands of Mandalorians stealing from the farmers, and you go up and there's like 7 of them, and the one guy is like allergic to being attacked by a lightsaber, so he doesn't take damage, and you're like, bro, I just got this lightsaber, let me use it to kill somebody with it. That fight took me so much longer. I ended up
robot in the Dantooine first star map area takes no damage whatsoever.
Yeah,
you just sit there and whack.
You just whack it for hours. It doesn't necessarily do any damage. So you're like,
freezes you, but
I mean, you unfreeze and you're like, oh, 1 HP. Let me just do heal really quick, and then hit. Yeah, push, dude. Some of the forms in this game are wild. When you push the guy over, and then it's just automatically back off.
Okay.
What a game. What a game.
Any last minute thoughts?
Not for me. I really liked it. And if you're on the fence about playing, at least give it a decent shot and play it, because I think it's worth it. If not because the lore is not part of Star Wars now, you ought to just go for it just because it's a cool Star Wars story.
Yeah. It's been around for 20 years, so if you haven't played it yet, well, that's on you.
And they've made it accessible. It's not like it's
on phones for crying out loud.
Yeah. It is on phones. And it's like $10, so figure it out.
Don't you guys have phones?
Yeah, figure it out.
Shut up, Diablo. But even if it's not canon, it shows a reverence to the old lore that you just kind of don't find with most kind of games these days. And it really just... You can feel the love for Star Wars that's in this game. And it has all of the stuff that people loved about the original trilogy and about parts of the prequels. And it's well written with great characters that are memorable. It's a good game.
Yeah. And like if you like Knights of the Old Republic one, then man, yeah, the second one is a ride.
It's all over.
We'll agree to disagree.
I played the second one. I like the first one more than I like the second one. I will agree with you though. They go all over the place with a lot of stuff.
It's a deconstruction of Star Wars.
Yes.
Yeah, this isn't a KOTOR 2 discussion, but yeah, I will say that it's wild. It gets crazy.
It does get crazy. Yeah. There's a lot.
Ideology-wise. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a different discussion for another time.
Next year.
The next one. Different story for
of KOTOR 2.
What a... that was one of the biggest cop-outs in Force Awakens. Gosh dang it.
So stupid. But we're talking about something good.
We sure are.
Force Awakens I like.
But yes, I really enjoyed this game as well, just like you guys did. This past year has been a year where I've just kind of discovered that I actually really like RPGs. for a while I thought that I didn't, just because the only really exposure I had to RPGs growing up were just the Pokemon games.
And
And they're
Skyrim.
all just pretty much. Well, I didn't even play that. It's just pretty much like the only exposure I had were just those very repetitive, just kind of monotonous experiences. Sorry, not sorry.
Mhm.
But with KOTOR, and then playing something like Persona 5 last year, games that like have dynamic stories, but the gameplay actually encourages you to do legitimately interesting things in the world. Like, yeah, that hooked me, and I really see the appeal of these kind of games now. And I think that's about it.
Here, fishy, 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 come to kill me too. Fishy, fishy, fishy.
What's that from?
Manon,
Oh,
guy in the locker.
Yeah.
oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that guy in the locker. A wild game.
Fishy, fishy.
They didn't pay that voice actor enough money.
No. Also, one kind of final note. I find it funny that they use like 3 or 4 different voice actors for everybody in the game.
Every NPC.
Every
All the main
NPC
characters have different voices.
Every main character has like a different voice actor. The NPCs, all the Twi'leks sound the same.
Mhm.
all the
All the Rhodians sound the
Yeah.
same.
All the Ithorians.
All the Ithorians sound the same. All the generic
Wookiees.
These always sound the same.
Every Sith trooper has the exact same voice.
Although the one that will haunt me is the
Fishy.
no the Manon
The
fish
Celtic
people.
The Celtic
Celtic. That
Oh, it's
those guys, I cannot get that voice. That sound will always be in my or the Huddies guys, where half of their voice sounds are or half their voice sounds are.
You sound like they're chomping the whole time. It's
Like Tim the Toolman. Yeah. Like it's just like you said.
Golly.
No, no. The like you said, it's a love letter. Because remember when George Lucas talked about doing the cantina scene? He's like, let's just throw in as many weird people as we can in one room.
As many rubber suits as we can find in
As
Hollywood.
many discount. Well, I think the funniest one is Honest Trailer point out that one of the aliens is just like a werewolf mask from Party City. But it's like you said, it's a love letter. It's just they picked the weirdest. Like Star Wars is a place where you can see weird aliens. You'll also see a lot of heroics and everything in between.
Good versus evil.
Yep. Good times.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that was our show. Thank you all for joining us as we talked about this amazing piece of Star Wars media together. Thanks to Jared and Justin and Aaron for all joining us. Aaron, you got a Star Wars show. You want to plug it really quick?
Yeah, I definitely will. It's called the Lo-Fi Jedi Podcast. It's exclusively on Spotify, and yeah, it's really fun. At least every week, I try to get an episode out, just updating the audience on the latest news and pieces of Star Wars canon. And with Ahsoka coming out next week, I'm going to be talking about that too. And yeah, it'll be cool.
Sounds good. Well, wish you continued success with that. And then thank you all once again for being here. And thank you for listening. Feel free to subscribe to the channel, join the notification squadron if you want to either hear more videos like this, or if you want to see more of the scripted video essay type content I like making, at the very lethargic pace I make them. Otherwise, thank you all and have a great night.
Like and subscribe.
Hit the bell to become part of the notification squadron.
Rebel Squadron.
Rogue Squadron.